Good morning, everybody. It's Marg with Creative Stamping with Marg. Another Tuesday, a new month of September. We are going to try something a little bit different today. I'll talk about it at the end of the video, something that I'm going to introduce this week. We are doing 3 cards this week. You can see what I have out on my desk. Today we are using the Hello Irresistible paper, which is an online exclusive paper, and the bundle, which is called Irresistible Blooms. And it comes with dies that look like that, and there's this extra one here. Okay, again, it's an online exclusive set. So we are going to start with this paper, which I've pulled out of the package, and this is a little bit of a different card. I'm going to give you just a quick look at something that this is what inspired me. I've definitely changed this all up, but this was the card that inspired me. It's very, very old. One of the very, I won't say it's the first card I ever made. It's definitely not the first card I ever made, but the first card that I had made and shared with the team that I belong to. This was a swap that we did. So this was what inspired me. This paper, this isn't another piece of paper. It's just the paper is folded over. So I'll show you what I mean when we get going on the card today. Now, the card I'm going to show you today is very different from this, but this was my inspiration. All right. This one is called a split panel card. And so your DSP, your cardstock is going to look like this. I know this is hard to see, but it's going to be, the panel is split, and I'll show you how we assemble it in a minute. But your cardstock base is 4 1/4 by 7 3/8, scored at 5 1/2. So you've just got this little flap that's coming this way on it. Now your card is going to be oriented this way, and then you need another piece of cardstock that is 4 1/4 by 2 5/8, and it'll be the bottom panel. So I hope that doesn't sound too complicated. It's not really once we get going. Then for your DSP, now in choosing your DSP, you're going to want something that you like both sides of. So this is what I chose out of the Hello Irresistible paper, was this piece. So it looks like this. So this piece was 4 by 5 1/4, and I have cut at 3 inches. This bottom piece is the bigger piece that I want. So it's 3 inches for the bottom piece because it's going to fit on here. Now I have taken both of these pieces now, and I have scored them at 1/2 inch on this top edge of this one and the bottom edge of this one. And I folded them up like that. So now you can see what the other side of the DSP looks like. All right. So we're going to assemble it that way. And this piece of DSP is 4 by 5 1/4. We're going to use this on the inside of our card. So it's a totally different piece than what I used here. It looks like that on the other side, but it coordinates with this one. So I'm just going to set it aside for right now. We'll use it when we go to assemble our card. I am going to put my silicone mat up here, and I will show you what we do with this. You can glue these flaps down with liquid glue. However, I found that they don't stay down very easily. So I decided I would use tear and tape, and that definitely will hold them. You could probably use your glue runner, your Stamp and Seal. The only thing is, it's just a really close width to get that on there, and I didn't want any extra sticking off. So I'm going to use tear and tape. And if you're not familiar with this, it's a 2-sided tape, and it does just tear, but I prefer to use a ruler, or I actually end up using a gift card or something like that, just to tear it against so that it tears evenly. And then just press it down. And I'm going, as you can see, I'm going quite close to the edge. So on that one, and then on this one. And this will definitely ensure that these flaps stay glued down the way you want them. So, okay. So I just burnish them like that, and then you just peel the paper off, and I find it easier if you get it at the side, and then you just peel it off like that. This piece is going to go this way, and you're just going to put it up like that. And it really does stay very well. Okay, again, we'll do this one. Peel that off. And press it down like that. So those are our 2 DSP pieces for the front of our card. We can attach them to the front now. So what I decided to do with this piece is I want the folded edge to be right at the top, and then that leaves your even border all the way around. I am going to use my liquid glue to put this on. So I will do that. Okay. So like I said, I want it right at the top edge, but the rest, the other 3 edges will be evenly spaced around. Then I'm going to put this one on the top of our card. That's the top flap of our card. So I'm going to do this. Just glue it down. And again, I want it right at the edge, but the other 3 edges will be evenly spaced like that. Okay, so now we're getting a better sense. You can see what it's going to look like. Now there has to be a way to join our 2 pieces together. So you need some kind of a die cut. So what I chose was the Nested Essentials, and I hadn't used these ones yet, so I thought I'm going to give that a try. So this is what I decided to do. I took the second largest, I guess it is, and I cut it out of Lost Lagoon cardstock, and I did run it through an embossing folder. You aren't going to see much of this, but it just gives it a little bit of interest. This again is an online exclusive, the Basics 3D embossing folders, and I used the one that sort of looks like stars or flowers. And that's how we're going to join these 2 pieces together. All right, so it's going to be like that. We're going to be gluing that die cut on the top and on the bottom, and that will join our 2 pieces together. But we're not done with that yet, so let's just set this aside for a second. So that's that piece. Then I needed something to stamp on. The colors in this DSP are Lost Lagoon and Daffodil Delight. So I chose Daffodil Delight to stamp my greeting on. Well, first, I'm just going to turn it over so you can see it. I chose it, and I thought, wow, that's really bright yellow, which I didn't really like. So I cut the exact same size piece in vellum, and I put it over top, and that definitely muted it and made it look very similar. Now, I had to decide about my stamping. So I did stamp with Lost Lagoon ink on the yellow, which turned my greeting quite green, but when I put this on top, it looks fine. So that's how it's going to look. Hooray, it's your day is the greeting I chose from Irresistible Blooms. Leave that there. And we all know that attaching vellum, the glue always shows through. So you have to think of some way to attach it so that your glue won't show through. So what I ended up doing was, in the Irresistible Blooms dies, there is some leaves that they have, and one of the pieces of paper, you can use those dies on this paper and just cut them out, which is really helpful. So I thought I will add some of these leaves to this vellum, and then I will be able to glue the vellum down onto the yellow piece. So we're going to do that first. So we will take our vellum piece and glue this down. Now I'm going to need this underneath so I can see where I want the leaves to be, that they're not covering my words. And I'm just going to use liquid glue down the center and stick them on here. Whoopsie. Can't get it to stay there, of course, when you're fiddling. I'm just going to glue it down like that. And just be careful because your liquid glue does slip around on your vellum, but give it a minute and it'll set. And then I thought I would do another one maybe like this. See how it slides around? It's okay. There. Just like that. I'll let it set for a second. So I don't know if I mentioned that. That was the second largest to cut that one out, and this was the third largest to cut the vellum and the Daffodil Delight cardstock. All right. So now, because we've got something glued onto our vellum, turn your vellum over, and that's where I can put glue so that it won't show when I stick it down on my yellow piece. So you can just glue right behind the leaves like that, and then glue it right down to your yellow piece. Just like that. And that'll hold it in place enough that it won't be flipping around. And then we're going to attach this to here, and I think I will put it up on dimensionals, but I'm not going to do it just yet. I'm going to assemble the card so that we can get this piece on there. Now the trick with this is when you go to assemble this, you have to make sure that you've got this in the right spot and this in the right spot. And this, you can have it centered across there. You can have it down a little bit. I'm just going to kind of look at this and see what I think of it before I decide. I actually think I'm going to put these pieces that jut out here, I'm going to put them there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to lay it the way I want it. I know where the glue is going to go. So I'm going to put my glue here. And here. Knowing that I'm not going to go over onto the part that we don't want glue on. So what I'm going to do first is get my hands off of there, turn it over, make sure my piece, my bottom piece is in the right spot, hold it down, and then I'm going to just lay this on here like that. Okay, now you'll see we've got our piece hooked together. So there it is. And it doesn't seem very sturdy, but I'm going to add this, remember. So this piece I'm going to put on dimensionals. So again, you can have dimensionals all along. I think we need top and bottom and maybe side and side. Okay, so 4 dimensionals on there. And get them off, the backings off. So even though this card looks somewhat complicated, it really goes together quite quickly. And I have added some extra elements, of course, with the vellum and all of that. So it really could be quicker if you weren't adding vellum and the extra details to it. So there it is. And of course, I'd already done my stamping. So the card stands up like that. It looks just like that. I think it looks great. Now, the trick with this is, of course, here's your card. This is what you're seeing in the back. I don't know, that looks kind of boring to me. So unless you want to dress it up, and a white piece didn't look good in there, and a very vanilla piece didn't really look good in there. So what I did is I took that other piece of DSP from the package. It's this one, because it has that sort of same coloring on it. And I thought I'm going to put that in here. And you can write right on this because it's light enough color. You'll be able to write right on it. And then it really makes the card cohesive. It goes together. So I'm going to glue that in. I don't think it matters which way it goes. So this is something different for the inside of your card. Insides of cards don't always have to be very vanilla or white. I've used DSP before. As long as it's a light enough color that you could write on and see your writing, you can get away with that. So there it is, in the inside, and there's the outside of the card. I think that's really cute, and it's just a different style of card. It'll stand like that. Yeah, I was happy with that. So that's the difficult card that we made today. Oh, I do have some embellishments. These are the festive pearls, and there is a green in this, and I think they're just calling it green now. And I thought those little ones kind of went with this, so I thought we'll use these on this one. They only come in one size, so I think I might just put them up here where we can see them. And maybe one right there. All right, so there's our card for today. Relatively quick and easy, a different layout, kind of fun. All right, now, and you saw my inspiration card, which was, like I said, very basic. And I don't know if you noticed, but the greeting was, this card opens this way. It's just stamped in the inside. The greeting is stamped right on the card, and then these pieces are put on. This is a very simplified card. All right, so there's that one. Now, I did do a couple more cards. This one is turned this way, so it's a tent fold the other way. And there's the paper, and it's cut the same size as these ones. So I don't need to do that. Sorry, the same size as these ones. Looks exactly the same as this one. I've just turned them the different way. Now, again, you have to be aware of your pattern on your paper. So this is retired paper, but this one I did on blueberry bushel paper, which is a returning cardstock color. And I used the Stylish Shapes dies, and I actually heat embossed the greeting on this one in white. And that's the inside. I used the deckled rectangles and just a couple of strips of the paper to kind of mimic the fold. It's actually just 2 strips of paper stuck together. So that's that one. And I did this other one, and I did the paper a little bit different. This one goes the other way. It stands up this way. And I cut the paper. Again, it was still a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of paper, like that. And I just cut it the opposite direction. So I just cut it like this and like this. So those were the dimensions on it. 5 1/4 by 1 3/4 and 5 1/4 by 2 1/4. And I just turned them the other way. And this paper came out of that large package. We've got eclectic paper. It's in the annual catalog. And I did it on a black card base, and I used the fresh Freesia paper to do my stamping on. And then the inside, I used the deckled rectangles again and just to strip up the paper here. And this is retired ribbon, but I did have it and thought I'd use it, and those are retired embellishments. So those were 3 of the cards. I'm going to take this one away, that I thought turned out really good, and with a very simple idea with just turning your paper. Again, you have to find paper that you like the other side of when you turn it over, or it coordinates. So that's the cards for today. Now, I mentioned I would be doing something a little bit different. You can see I have my email address up in the corner here. I'm going to be offering this as a 3-card kit to anyone in Canada. I can't mail anywhere else, but just Canadians. You would get all 3 of the card pieces to put together yourself. You would need stamps, and that's pretty much it. I would send everything else. Card bases with envelopes, all the pre-cut card bases, all the DSP cut, any of the die cuts and embossing would be done. The embellishments would be included and the pieces of ribbon. So for the 3 cards and the envelopes and mailing, it comes to $20. And what I would need you to do is to send me an email at mrgorne, that's my last name, Gorne, at shaw.ca. And you can e-transfer me the money and I would send you off a kit. So you can refer back to this YouTube in order to make this one and have a good look at these ones again. And I will also include a PDF file so that you can have written instructions to make these cards. All right, so that's what I'm doing for this first week of September. If anyone's interested, I appreciate you getting back to me. I would have to have probably you email me by, I haven't really looked at my calendar, but let's see. I would have to have the email. I'm going to cut it off. Let's see, this is the 5th of September. I would have to cut it off probably on the 10th of September. So I would need an email by the 10th of September to get these card kits out to you, because then I'll be on to another week and designing something else. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. I appreciate any feedback, any comments you have, and I hope everybody has a great week.